Hi everyone, it's Rachel back with the Shades of Orange. Today I want to share with you my TBR for the month of December. Now I don't do TBRs every month, but for some reason this month I just wanted to share with you what I was planning on reading. I have well surpassed my Goodreads goal for the year, so I'm actually trying to purposely read some bigger books this last month so that I don't inflate that number anymore. I have a good variety here, all the genres that I normally read, so horror, science fiction, and fantasy. And hopefully something catches your attention. All that being said, let's get started. First, let's talk about the two books I plan to reread, and surprising probably no one, pretty much every Christmas I try to read Nosferatu by Joe Hill. It's definitely one of my favorite horror books, and of course it's about a girl named Vicky who has this strange ability to find missing things, and she becomes involved with a villainous man named Charlie Manx who wants to take her away to Christmas land. And I love this book. I have a physical copy, but if I'm honest, I am going to listen to the audiobook because I love the narrator. It's so creepy. If you haven't read this one, I definitely recommend it. And yeah, it's pretty much a yearly tradition with me at this point, and I can't wait to get back to it. And the other one I want to reread this year is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I don't think I need to give a synopsis, but I really enjoyed the audiobook, which is narrated by Tim Curry, who of course was the original Pennywise. And I don't actually read lots of classics, but this one really spoke to me. I found it creepy and atmospheric, and I would definitely like to re-experience that this year, so looking forward to that one as well. Now to talk about the other creepy books I have on my radar, one of them is Coldbrook by Tim Lebbon, which is about a group of scientists that are working on some mysterious project in the Appalachian Mountains when something goes terribly wrong and a disease breaks out. I think the title of this book is making me think that this is going to be a wintry book. I don't know if that's the case, but it is set in the Appalachian Mountains, so hopefully. And I'm wondering if this is going to have a zombie aspect to it. It's been quite a while since I've read a zombie book, and I do really enjoy them, so I'm hoping this one is going to scratch that itch. It's been on my TBR for a really long time, so I need to finally check it out for myself. I also want to read Hostage to the Devil by Malachi Martin, and this is a really unique one because it's technically nonfiction, which is not something I read a lot of, but it's supposedly the story of 5 people that were recently possessed in America. And while I don't read a lot of nonfiction, you might know that I am obsessed with possession stories. I don't really believe in them, but I grew up in the Catholic faith where that was taught to be true or possible, and these kind of stories just really pique my interest, so I'm very excited to check it out. I'm hoping it's going to be scary. I'm hoping it's going to be fascinating. It's quite long, so I don't know how dense it's going to be, but I definitely need to read this one, and I will be reporting back for sure. And another book I really want to read is Wendigo by Vaughn Hardacker, and this might be horror or it might be more of a thriller, but this is about a man who is found dead in the woods. His heart has been ripped out and he has been butchered like an animal. And the main character believes that this is the work of the Wendigo, which is something that his grandfather told him about. So that's why I don't really know if it's going to be a realistic fiction or not, whether it will be a detective procedural or if it will go into the supernatural. I personally hope it swings towards horror because that's always my preference, but I believe this is a very wintry book and I've been meaning to read this again. This is one that's been on my TBR for way too long, and it's about time that I checked it out. Now I have one fantasy book I want to read this month for sure, and that is The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan, which of course is the first book in the epically long Wheel of Time series. I recently hauled this and said that I wanted to get to this one soon, so I'm making good on that promise. And I am nervous to read it because it's so long and also because it's so beloved. I'm planning on reading this with the help of my friend Jade from Bedtime Bookworm. I'm going to link her channel down below. She reads a lot of fantasy as well as some science fiction horror like myself, and she loves this series. She has read the entire thing and did this awesome read along a few years ago, but I have been wanting to check out this series, and so my hope is that she can kind of guide me through it and answer my questions. And I'm just hoping I connect with this one because there's such a fandom around this series. I know the TV show's coming out and I just really want to love it, so I want to give this one a proper try. I might go back and forth between the physical copy and trying the audio, whatever works best. best. And hopefully this one is a winner. I know I'm committing to a pretty long series, but if it's as good as everyone says, I am very much willing to spend the time and get through all those books. So wish me luck on this one for sure. And you know I have to include some science fiction on this list. The first one I want to get to is Starfish by Peter Watts. This is one that I hauled earlier this year and have been dying to get to. I don't want to wait until next year to read it. This is about a corporation that has built some kind of factory at the bottom of the ocean, and the crew that works there need to be bioengineered in order to survive in this isolated, difficult climate. And the people that accept the positions and go to work there are not the nicest people in society. In fact, they're quite unsavory and are kind of the outcasts of society for the most part. And this book sounds amazing. It's definitely science fiction first, but I believe it has elements of horror, and I've been wanting to read Peter Watts for a while. I believe he writes a lot of hard science fiction, which is something I've been craving recently, and I just want to check this one out. I also want to read Blindsight, but I think I'm going to start with this one, so this one is definitely happening this month. And finally, the other science fiction book I'm going to read this month is a little bit Christmassy. And that's because, if I'm honest, I do still like to read books that kind of give me those Christmassy feels, but I'm not much of a contemporary reader. I don't really read romance. So I found out about this short story collection a while ago and I've been meaning to read it. And that is called A Lot Like Christmas by Connie Willis. And I don't know much more than that. I just know it's science fiction stories, but set around Christmas. And that just sounds great. I've never read Connie Willis before. I'm not sure this is the right place to start with her work, but I do enjoy short fiction, at least when it comes to horror, so I'm hoping that will translate over to these science fiction stories. And it just sounds really unique. It's different than anything else that I hear about that's kind of Christmas themed, so I'm definitely hoping this works for me. It's quite long. I think it's like 500 pages, so this will at least keep me busy throughout the month. So that is it for my December TBR. I would love to know what you think of the books I'm planning on reading. Which ones do you think I will enjoy the most, and which should I prioritize for review? Have any of them caught your interest? I would love to hear about your own reading plans for the month. And if you aren't already subscribed, please consider doing so. Otherwise, give the video a big thumbs up, hit that notification bell. I will talk to you again soon in another video. Okay, bye-bye.